just the possibilities of just the thought of that should make you want to get up off your tush and see how you can get involved. Again, I'm going to sign off till next time, and I want y'all to keep the faith and remember, united we stand, and divided we fall. Hands separate can do nothing, but with a fist we can strike a mighty blow. Till next time, people. This close to within a point of his life. Now, of course, all the officers that she fired, and we must, Milwaukee went from having a black police chief who has a suit in against the city of Milwaukee for racist practices, and by all intents and purposes, he's winning, or he's going to win, or he has won at this point. Now we have a white woman who's a police chief, and she decides to fire the officers, which I commend her. Basically, she had no choice. It was just crazy. But because of this so-called blue code of silence, none of the officers would speak about what happened on the scene, which makes the story even more crazier by the second. Oh my goodness. So there's a blue code of silence. So ultimately there was a trial for these 3 officers, plus a whole lot more who had came to the scene and did nothing, and they were fired, and most of them wanted their jobs back, etc., etc. But these officers were acquitted by an all-white jury, which was very scary, because at that point the city is in so much racial tension, you can just feel it every time you walk out your door, that this man could actually be beaten to a pulp. And if any of you are not familiar, I just ask you to Google Frank Jude, and when you see his face and just read the story from a journalistic perspective, you'll get more of the tangible details. So I'm just going to try to move this along. Almost immediately after the verdict was read, Alderman McGee Jr., this brother right here, who I caught a case for and pretty much am facing criminal charges right now, criminal felony charges I should say, because of my association with the young man. He couldn't take it, so he went to file federal charges to have these officers retried and to see if we could come up with a different verdict, because it was just an insane verdict. It was an insane time, and there was no way that the city could rest. You could feel the blood boiling. You could just feel the tension. We had ministers march from here to there, which I think is a bunch of farce. And to tell you how insulting that the police were, even to the clergymen, they had a motorcade that maybe extended 12 blocks with all the prominent, well, how should I say, faith-based initiative ministers here, who are, quote unquote, the money bags of the city, the ones who help lead their people to the slaughter and continue to keep white supremacy going. Were led onto the highway with their motorcade by the police, who, in their opinion, well, we respect the clergy. Okay, so this is what was done to the clergyman. Anyway, during the federal trial, these officers were acquitted. I mean, they were not acquitted, they were found guilty. And that in itself shook and shocked most Milwaukeeans that were white, because they had never had any officers in all the time, and all the police brutality cases from Ernest Lacey to, I mean, there's been no assault by the police cases in the history of Milwaukee that the police were convicted. They shoot people in the back, shoot them in the head, shoot them in the ass, always justifiable homicide. Well, this is the first conviction that was ever given. So the police, of course, people didn't know how to handle this. It was a political time. And remember, Mike McGee championed this, along with Doris Jude, who is an aunt, very, very hard-working civil rights activist. Doris Jude Porter. Well, after the verdict came back guilty for the officers, it was time for a new district attorney in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And the new district attorney, the one that was running, was a friend of the old district attorney. So Mike McGee kind of championed, we need new blood, because this is going to be the same old crap that we've been dealing with for all the district attorney who had been district attorney for like 35 years. He finally retired. So we really didn't want anybody from his regime even representing. And so we decided to support a candidate by the name of McNamara McGraw, who was a female. Well, she didn't make it. The new district attorney, in my opinion, the first thing on his agenda was to retaliate against Mike McGee Jr. So, what do? They set up a situation where they said Mike McGee's not doing well, and they found some black Uncle Tom by the name of Ayanna Jordan to actually call a recall against the alderman, because he was just too politically motivated, and he raises too much hell. And so we need some new blood, somebody that's going to make us get along with all the people, whatever that means. To me, all Mike was doing was champion issues that needed to be addressed. And certainly this black Uncle Tom, who white people had given her money to basically stir up this ruckus, white lawyers from different counties and different areas of the city, you would wonder what their interest was in the city of Milwaukee. Well, it was to uproot a young fiery champion like Brother McGee. Well, she, meaning Ayanna Jordan, claimed that Mike McGee signed her petition, if I can recall correctly, and that he signed his own recall petition, and that he was just a disgrace to the city. Well, when she turned in her signature to this election commission to run for office, wow, they started checking the people, and of course some of them were frauds, and they started a whole voter investigation against Ayanna Jordan, supposedly. This whole investigation of Ayanna Jordan switched to an investigation of Michael McGee. So as the recall election continued and it came time to vote, Mike McGee won by a landslide for all the Uncle Toms in the district who wanted him out. So he won by a margin that was just totally unacceptable. And you must understand this too, that the 6th district is a very valuable part of the city. It's right on the lakefront, pretty much coming west of the lake. And a lot of your people that commute back and forth downtown would find it very easy to have this district back. It's called redistricting, and I'm sure y'all have heard it redlining. You know, all over the country. You know, when white folks want an area back, they kick the black people out and send them somewhere else so they can have basically back. And these areas could have been slums 15 years ago, in a forgotten parcel of land. But once white people decide they want it, they can go in there and clean it up. Once the system, I should say, this white power structure of supremacy decides it needs that, they go and do what they got to do. So that goes to show you they can clean up the area if you in it, and help you if they possibly wanted to do that. It won't happen. Anyway, this recall election did not successfully remove Alderman McGee from office. So they started a sting operation, wiretapping illegally, all this illegal wiretapping, and decided that now Michael McGee is a threat, based on some conversation that he had with friends, I guess, and a godfather about listening to just ghetto talk. Okay, somebody stole some money and whatever. Okay, but basically there was a store called Mother's Foods that is located right in the district, and the owner of the store is an Arab by the name of Jack Correa, he's a government informant and has ties with Hamas, and we don't understand why he's still